week in the PBT Institute membership community, I have what's called a live coffee chat. And that's where members come just to bring their questions. And we just have a live Q&A really for however long it goes. The most amazing questions come up, and it's always just an interesting conversation. But something came up yesterday, and I just want to share it because I have a feeling it'll serve you too. So often we have that nagging, critical inner voice, that inner critic that is just commenting on what we're doing, having something negative to say about what we're thinking, how we're behaving, all of it. What do we do about that? What do we do about that? Well, the first thing is you want to become aware of what you're saying to yourselves. Are you saying kind, loving thoughts? Are you saying nasty, critical thoughts, right? And how does this even show up? Usually we've interpreted something, maybe something was said to us years ago, or we've interpreted someone's actions or behaviors or what they've said, and we create this negative thought because of it, and then we keep repeating it to ourselves. So think about this. Someone must have said something to you. They could have said something to you 30, 40, 50 years ago. And then here we are because could you imagine if it was only a misinterpretation? Maybe someone was just busy and we interpreted that as I'm not lovable. So the talk we have confirms all of these messages of I'm not lovable. And then we live a life feeling we're not lovable based on our misinterpretation of what someone said 50 years ago. But maybe it's not a misinterpretation. Maybe someone actually said those hateful, hurtful, harmful things. Even though someone said that doesn't mean we have to believe it, right? But we hear these things, we interpret them as, well, it must be true. And then we live our lives according to those beliefs. But it's really important to take a look at where they're coming from. They're coming from someone else's lens. Well, what if they were on the receiving end of some really poor beliefs? Just because that's what they believe doesn't mean that's what we have to believe. It's time to start questioning those beliefs and see if they serve us or if they don't. Now, one of the easiest ways I know how to do just that is writing this stuff down. And here are 3 prompts. You ready? I'm so, ... I can't, ... I'll never, ... And when you have some time, I would do a brain dump of everything that shows up within those categories. The next thing I would do is see if there's a voice attached to it. Do you hear that negative critical voice? Does it sound familiar? Do you know where that voice is coming from? Right? We can't change what we're unaware of. So once you know what you're dealing with, then say, does this serve me anymore? And have I outgrown it? Just because it's been a belief for so long doesn't mean we have to keep it, right? So, but of course, the first thing we need to do is see what shows up. So when you say, I can't what? I can't do anything right. Or I'll never get out of debt, or I'll never have a beautiful relationship. I'm so lazy, whatever it is that you're saying, see what's there, because here's the thing. We have between 60 and 80,000 thoughts a day. About 80% of them are negative. And you and I both know people where that's conservative. So if a majority of our thoughts are based on these negative beliefs, think about how it's showing up throughout your day. Think about the choices you're making. Think about the conversations you're having with other people. Think about the decisions you're making based on these beliefs, right? So it's really time to understand, what am I believing here, and does it serve me? And here's what I would suggest. It's interesting because when it comes to someone else, we're so loving, we're so supportive, we have the best advice with love and compassion and empathy, we can help everybody. And isn't it interesting? Because I doubt all the time we're saying those things to ourselves. So here's a question. Are you speaking to yourself the way you'd speak to a friend? And I have a feeling the answer is no. And the truth is, if you spoke to your friends the way you speak to yourself, you wouldn't have a friend in the world. So what would happen if you changed that thinking and started to reframe it a little bit and started to question it a little bit, even just to say, does this still work for me? Do I need to still believe this thought? And don't believe everything I say. More importantly, don't believe everything you say. Question all of it, because it's really likely that you've outgrown it. And just because it's there does not mean we have to live a lifetime of just believing in something, those same thoughts, those same behaviors, those same actions that brought us to where we are right now. Now, here's the thing. If they serve us, if it's great, if we love where those thoughts have taken us, it's beautiful. No need to change them. But if they're sabotaging our actions, if they're preventing us from looking, feeling, living better, it's time to change them, because we just truly don't have to believe them. So the experiment I would really invite you to do is just ask yourselves, would I say this to a friend? And if I wouldn't, you really have no right saying it to ourselves. Now, here's the thing. You're going to catch about a fraction of the time that you're doing this, but that's okay. Even if you catch 10 times throughout the day of you being judgmental or critical with yourself, that's 10 opportunities to change that into something better and say something loving. It's interesting. After my trauma, and I shared freely all of the experiences that I've been through. And I remember that it was after my betrayal, you have this opportunity to redefine who you are and create an entirely new identity. And that's exactly where I was headed. And that's exactly what I did. And one of the things I decided was to take a look at the thoughts I was saying to myself. And I realized I was really critical of the things I said. So I implemented a rule in my house. And the rule was, when I say something, and this is to myself or to anyone in the family that's less than stellar, that maybe isn't the smartest thing, that maybe wasn't the greatest idea, instead of coming down on myself, like, oh, that was so stupid, you idiot, whatever it is, right? Whatever negative, critical thing I could say, I decided that I'm going to say, isn't that adorable? Because think about it. If a little kid did something that was not what you call appropriate or right or great or wonderful, you would look and say, isn't that adorable? We're always learning and growing. So why not be a little gentler, a little kinder with ourselves? And if we do something we didn't mean to, right? We had the best of intentions, but if it didn't come out right, if it didn't work the way we planned, if it didn't land the way we were hoping, why not just say, wasn't that adorable? And then from that space, say, how can I do it better next time? Lovingly and gently, just as you give anyone else. So again, 2 things I would invite you to do. Number 1, do that brain dump to see the beliefs, because you can't change what you're not aware of. So I'm so, I can't, I'll never. Lay it all out there. See what beliefs have been holding you back. And it's likely that some have been with you forever. And it's worth taking a look to see what isn't serving me and is it worth changing. The second thing is, if you wouldn't say it to a friend, don't say it to yourself. Even if you just do it for a day, one day of giving yourself a little bit of a break. Could you imagine how you feel? And who knows, maybe you'll find what you do adorable or whatever word works for you. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.